Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Figure 4 podcast. My name is Daniel Marino, and with me as always is Michael Robert Cummings. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yes!
Did you guess that?
You know, come on. No, you know how I got that? My middle name is actually Robert, so.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Look, see how in sync we are here on the Figure 4 podcast?
We're very, very in sync. That's a good guess, though. I was surprised. I thought you, because I don't make that public.
No, it's because your email has like R in the middle or something, or
that's
your
true.
Twitter handle.
No, that's true. But
which is the same way I do it, so
that's so
hilarious.
Bizarre.
Well, there you go. You have a Dan and a Mike, but really you have two Roberts that host the Figure 4 podcast.
Pretty much.
The best wrestling podcast out there. Wrestling podcasting at its finest, I believe, is what our intern put on the Twitter bio. But, Mike, a lot to talk about this week, as there always is in wrestling, in the wonderful world of wrestling. But I feel like there's no better way to lead off any wrestling show, especially in the year 2018, than by talking about the hottest story in wrestling, quite possibly the greatest story wrestling the WWE has seen since The Rock and Stone Cold. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, here we go.
The modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, and the big dog, the biggest dog there is, Roman Reigns, continued the build to their eventual clash, their titanic clash at Money in the Bank this past Monday. When they were on opposite sides of a tag match. It was Roman and his former Shield partner Seth Rollins, some guy who carries the Intercontinental title around, has these all-star matches every time he's out there, just some dude. And they took on Jinder and Elias. And little known fact, WWE actually stands for Walk with Elias, so he's kind of a big deal.
I knew that, and I don't know if you did. I don't know if you knew this or not, and you just mentioned it, but Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns used to be in the Shield together. Unless you didn't catch that.
Yes,
every week.
I hadn't heard of that until just this past Monday. So
you had it written down.
Yeah,
just to make sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was. It's a good opening match. It was a cool little opening segment. I like the Rollins and Elias feud. I think that's going to be a great match, which was announced for Money in the Bank. The IC title will be on the line. Obviously they just look very similar, but they have different styles in the ring. Obviously Rollins is the workhorse champion, and he's been doing a really good job with the Intercontinental Championship, and Elias is super over with the crowd, and getting to do his concerts and all that. People are really into it. Even when he runs down the hometown crowd or whatever, he's getting cheered. So he's fun to watch. I think they're gonna have a great match. And this was just a combination of two feuds, kind of putting it into one so that they both get showcased. It's a bit of using Seth Rollins to kind of get Roman Reigns over with the crowd. I don't know how well that's working, but obviously he got the mixed reaction when he came out and saved Rollins from the attack from both Elias and Jinder. I guess Jinder and Rollins have that bit of heat from the last few weeks, so I guess it was an appropriate attack from Mahal, who kind of saved Elias in a sense after him and Rollins went at it, and it was a cool fight. I liked the fight because Elias was trying to use his guitar, and then Rollins grabbed the chair and he smacked the guitar out of his hands. That was a really cool moment. So obviously the 2-on-1 beatdown sets up Roman to come out and do his thing, and they end up losing the match. So it was it's a good way for the heels to get some momentum.
Yeah, I feel like there was actually a lot to take from this. All joking aside, the first thing I wanted to say is that opening from Elias was like gold. Like it was not to put too much, not to over analyze it, but like it kind of reminded me. It gave me a feeling of like The Rock when he was doing his whole heel bit, where he was singing about the town, whatever town they were in, and kind of railing on that city. And obviously that's what Elias has been doing for a while, but like just the quality of that opening was one of the best heel segments I've seen in a long time, and it wasn't even that long, right? And the match itself, it was super interesting the way that they ended it with Elias. I mean, I guess they didn't win clean. I mean, you still have to protect Rollins, but like he still got the pinfall.
Well, the finish made no sense.
Oh yeah, because it should have been a.
Well, yeah, okay. So if you didn't see what happened, I don't know who introduced the chair. I think it was Sino Singh. I believe it was Sino Singh, or it might have just been the same chair that Rollins grabbed, and they just didn't put it back underneath the ring. But Rollins grabbed the chair from Singh, brought it into the ring for whatever reason, rolled in, so you know he's gonna drop it at some point. And he gets attacked and throws it. It gets thrown down on the ground, and Elias hits Rollins with a DDT right onto the chair.
Yeah.
In full view of the ref, and wasn't disqualified, and they won. So
WWE doesn't make sense.
No, listen, John Cone, like your kid wins one Raw Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania, and suddenly you think you don't have to do your job or something. I don't know, but. that aside, like it was, I'm gonna say that's a botch. But aside from that, it was a good match, and I mean it was a cool spot. Like it looked really deadly how he did it. It looked very effective. So
I think he almost did kill him.
Yeah, well, like Elias, he's not playing around the ring. He's gonna do whatever it takes to win, and he's like a hard knocks competitor, and that's what that really makes him stand out. I think is he's just like any other heel though. I think at the same time he'll do whatever it takes to win, and. He shouldn't have won this match. Him and Jinder should have been disqualified, but whatever. The story goes on, and they picked up the victory.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the WWE doesn't always make sense, so it's not really shocking to me that they booked an ending that should have been a disqualification, but they just kind of ignored it for the sake of it. But like you said, good match. Rollins and Elias, as we've been saying since they've announced the match, are going to put on a show at Money in the Bank. We know it because Rollins always puts on a show. Like all of his matches, especially since the new year started, have been grade A matches. And Elias is no slouch between the ropes either. So they're going to put on a show. I love that they put Elias into this rivalry with Seth because anything Rollins does at this point is a big deal. And, automatically any match that he's in at a pay-per-view is either the opener or it's one of like the quote-unquote co-main events of the pay-per-view. So it's nice that Elias is getting that stage because, I mean, we talked about it last week. He was kind of, in the middle of things.
He was floundering. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. And, especially with the rumors of, people are speculating Rollins is going to take the Universal Championship from Brock Lesnar to SummerSlam. We've been talking about that the past few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he drops the belt to Elias, I mean I think that's a really good move for the company going forward. And Elias, as I mentioned earlier, and as it's very apparent on Raw, he's really over with the crowd. So he's doing that without any championships around his waist. Imagine giving him the Intercontinental Championship. It's gonna make it. I think it's gonna make it even more intriguing than it is with Rollins, holding it and when Miz had it and all that. So I think Elias can really work wonders with that championship. So. Absolutely. If that's who the title is going to be passed on to, then sign me up. I'm all for it.
Well, I think it's clear that Elias has the potential to be one of the bigger heels in the company going forward, and someone that they definitely need to push or continue pushing because they are pushing him. And if he does get the Intercontinental title, I think that would be a good platform for him because he would basically just take the spot that The Miz used to have. Right, The Miz was one of the best parts. Well, still is, but like. His Intercontinental reign, his most recent one, was one of the best parts of WWE television this past year. They can just throw Elias right in there, right? Like he's shown that he can carry that mantle as one of the an upper mid card heel, who could potentially move even higher. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where this takes him for sure. But speaking of heels, I don't know if you'd say upper mid card. I actually don't even know where in the card he is right now, but one of the revelations, or I guess I don't even know what it is. Baron Corbin is they say constable? Is that what his title is?
He has been appointed, per Commissioner Stephanie McMahon, has been appointed the constable of Raw. So basically, he's just gonna overlook things on behalf of Stephanie and kind of help Kurt Angle run the show, because apparently he's been making some bad calls lately.
Right. So, I guess my first question to you would be, what the hell does this mean? Are they trying to? I mean, I guess start over again with Corbin and because there was one time not so long ago that Corbin was kind of like the guy they were pushing as the next big monster heel in WWE. I mean, they gave him the Money in the Bank briefcase and everything, and then one Twitter gaffe later, and he is buried, like completely buried in the worst way possible. So are they gonna give him another go as like kind of one of the top heels again? Is this like their way of giving him a spotlight again and easing him back up, or I don't even, what is this?
Well, I think you put it pretty well in terms of a reset. I think it's kind of a fresh start for him. I mean, this kind of makes it evident they didn't really have anything for him, and you know, you just watch the show, even on SmackDown, he wasn't really doing anything. But I think this is kind of a cool move. It sort of doesn't make sense in the fact that, you know, Corbin, he's the lone wolf, so I figured that he'd kind of just want to do things his own way and not listen to authority. But I guess if it's a heel authority member, then, you know, maybe he'd be willing to listen. And I mean, it's Stephanie McMahon, she's very powerful, so, you know, getting to work alongside her, I mean, it could really benefit him storyline wise in the future. So I think it's a good move from him character wise. But, you know, do people want to see him multiple times a night? If you know, if he's going to be in Kurt Angle's ear, if there's going to be these multiple backstage segments with him and Kurt, or him and talent, do people really want to see that? Or people, I don't know if people are invested in him that much to want to see him multiple times. Like, you know, Seth Rollins or AJ Styles, yeah, sure, I'd like, or Miz, I'd like to see those characters multiple times a night, but I don't know if I'd want to see Corbin, to use the phrase again, multiple times a night.
Well, I would say that if that's the case, which my gut tells me that is the case, that people don't want to see Baron Corbin multiple times a night. If that is the case, I think WWE has no one to blame but themselves, right? Because they put him through that like massive burial this past year. So who knows where his popularity would be and how invested in him the fans would be if they hadn't done that, right? That's first off. I did find it very interesting what you said about his character, because one of the most intriguing parts about Baron Corbin when he first came up to me was that, like you said, he's the lone wolf, right? Like, he's not your typical heel in that he's cowardly, or he's kind of and I talked about this with Samoa Joe a few weeks ago, but I like when heels are actually like badasses. You know what I mean? I hate how the typical heel in today's WWE has to be a coward. So I thought it was pretty cool. Corbin, he doesn't like want to make any alliances. He doesn't want to be in a tag. Like, he doesn't want to be helped by anyone. He just wants to go out there and win titles and destroy people. Like, that was a pretty cool part about his character. I mean, that was his entire character. But again, it's just he's been sucked into this black hole that tends to happen in the WWE, where if you fall out of favor for even just a second, I don't even know what he is anymore. Like, I feel like he doesn't have an identity. He went from this pretty, in my opinion, awesome lone wolf character to, I guess he's like a bully now. Or is he just like a bad guy? I don't even know what it's.
I don't know. Like you make a good point. He is like, he has that badass mentality. He also has that cowardly heel mentality, but I think it works for him. I don't know. Like, we saw him. How many times did we see him? Like 3 times on Raw this past week. Yeah,
so, something like that.
You know, if people can get behind that, you know, if people can be comfortable with having to see him multiple times a night, then I accept it. I think it's a good move. I think it shows that the company has faith in him to be something. I don't know how the crowd feels about him per se, but he is fun to watch. He's a great worker, and you know, I think he's very capable of having like a big push. You know, obviously last year it didn't really work out, and that was I hate to say it was his own fault, but it kind of was, just getting into all those riffs on Twitter. But I still believe that he could have a big impact on Raw, and I think that this is a great move for him.
No, absolutely. But the WWE, like, if they want this to work, they have to be all in, right? Because it seemed like they were all in last year, but they clearly weren't. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, it is his fault for doing whatever the hell he did on Twitter. But, like, if John Cena does the exact same thing, do you think he's getting buried like that?
Well, no, of course not.
Yeah. So, and I get it. Like, he's not John Cena. So, obviously, the consequences are a little different for his actions. But I don't know. They've done enough damage to his character, and I guess you could say he's done enough damage to his character by doing all that stuff on Twitter, that it's going to be really hard to build him back up, and it's going to take some time. So they have to be all in on this. They're going to have to resist the urge to pull the plug on this thing if he starts getting not negative reactions, because you kind of do want boos and stuff like that, but if he gets no reaction, they're going to have to wait that out a bit and see if it kind of fixes itself, because like I said, they've really that whole cash in last year, and then him losing pretty much every match that I can remember for like the past year on pay-per-view, it really hurt his character. And also, and let me just say, I wasn't a huge fan of the whole Kurt Hawkins segment that he had this past Monday.
It's just in general, or Corbin's part.
Well, I think in general, because I think they could have done it much better. They could have done it much better. Like, I get that. I thought it was cool that they actually put Kurt Hawkins on Raw in a match that was about him for once, because it was the 200 straight loss, and I think it's cool that they tried to make that a big deal. And I thought it was cool that they used some like random jobber
James Harden.
James Harden. Okay, he missed out on an opportunity for he could have beaten Elias for the best punchline of the night had he used the whole James Harden thing properly. Like on a golden platter, he had, the guy says he's James Harden, they're in Houston. All you have to do is, it doesn't even have to be a good punchline, just reference James Harden being a choke artist, and you will hear the boos for days.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I was just gonna say, Elias had a really good one about Houston, about the Rockets. So
yeah, exactly, about Golden State winning every time they come here or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. And most wrestling fans watch sports, like other sports, right? So
more so.
Yeah, and you heard the reaction when they mentioned Golden State beating Houston, and if you're a basketball fan, you know that the narrative coming out of that Game 7 was that James Harden, like above other narratives, obviously about Golden State's dominance and stuff like that, and CP3 being hurt, but like one of the bigger narratives was that James Harden, who is the savior in Houston, is a choke artist because he doesn't show up in the playoffs. So all you have to do is kind of be like, oh, your name's James Harden? Well, I guess you don't show up when the spotlight's on either. And I'm telling you, the boos would be so intense. But anyway, that's
for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. Well, first and foremost, I mean, that segment, I really wish better for Kurt Hawkins. I'm a big fan of his personally.
Yeah.
He just seems like a cool guy, but like at least he's getting a spot. You know what I mean? Like, he has a T-shirt and all that. He might have more than one T-shirt. I'm not too sure, but like, he has merch. It's all like it's clear they like him in a sense, but they just made him like a glorified jobber. So I don't know.
See, I have no issue with, like I said, I actually like the fact that they made his 200 loss a big deal and put it on Raw and all that stuff, and this is his first match in forever that was actually all about him. Like, it wasn't just him jobbing out to someone. But I personally think that they should have made him lose clean. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just Kurt Hawkins' 200th loss in the middle of an episode of Raw. It's basically a piss break. But like, personally, I don't understand why Baron Corbin had to come out and cause him the match by, I guess it was supposed to be funny that Hawkins was on the verge of finally breaking the streak right before 200, and he ends up losing because someone else comes in and attacks his opponent. But I think they just should have had him lose with a roll-up. I think that would have been funnier.
Like, yeah, well, no, for sure. I totally agree. Maybe like Corbin's mentality is like, oh, well, maybe Stephanie McMahon thinks that Hawkins continually losing is best for business or something. I don't know. Like, it's it's weird. I think just Corbin was just being a dick.
That's what I mean. What an asshole.
So,
right?
okay. From Hawkins' standpoint, though, he definitely did not have enough tacos to feed that whole crowd. Maybe 100 tacos, maybe 100.
Yeah. That was the best part to me, is that like they show the tacos right out of the break, and it goes in like, Kurt Hawkins talking about like I'm on the verge of 200, but I'm gonna win. I'm gonna break the streak. This is gonna be historic. I have tacos for everyone in the crowd if we win. And I'm looking at that table like, buddy, you won't even feed a section. What do we like? Maybe we all know what's happening here.
Maybe the front row.
Maybe the front row. Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, it was funny though. Like Hawkins he's a funny guy. He's a great wrestler.
Yeah. So
like I said, I'm glad that even though he loses all the time, he's given the spotlight. Yeah. And it was more so this week. I hope that maybe in the future he gets some wins or a win. I feel like him snapping that streak is bigger than Taker's streak getting snapped.
It's right up there for sure.
But that's just me. But
for sure.
But in terms of the whole Corbin storyline, I'm intrigued. We only saw 1 week of it. He kind of asserted himself in multiple points in the show, and I'm willing to give it a shot. And I think others should too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I'm not. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist. I'll just say I hope it works out, but I have a really bad feeling about it. But we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Man, you never know what you're going to get on the Figure 4 podcast, eh? We just talked about Kurt Hawkins for like 5 minutes.
Kurt Hawkins, NBA Western Conference Finals Game 7 analysis, everything.
Yeah,
on this.
That's what it's all about, baby. This is the number one podcast. It's not just a wrestling podcast.
We are versatile.
Yeah. This podcast is about life. It's about life. But speaking of talented, funny, mid-card heels, all right, we got to talk about the biggest story of the week. You know what that is?
Well, okay. The biggest story, I think, in the wrestling world is probably Punk.
But no. Stop it.
But I know that's not what you're referring to.
The greatest modern tag team.
I love the match. But go ahead, introduce it first.
This sport has to offer. The B team.
The B team.
A team with royalty in their blood. Well, like at least a little bit of it.
Wrestling royalty, yeah.
No, but obviously, but I mean, like, I would say, obviously, Mr. Perfect, but IRS is kind of wrestling royalty, depending on
IRS
your standards.
Well, I mean, Bray Wyatt's I want to say, I feel like I should be able to say at this point, Bray Wyatt's a multiple-time world champion, but that's not true. So
yeah,
he's the Raw Tag Team Champion.
Yeah, and IRS was he was funny. I don't.
Well, he was $1 million. He was with Ted DiBiase and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, but Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel have formed my favorite tag team in wrestling right now. And a tag team who has an amazing shirt that I will be purchasing at some point soon. As long as I can.
Are you actually gonna buy? Why don't you just make it yourself?
Oh,
just buy it.
Man,
just buy a plain. Okay, I probably shouldn't say this too loud, but just buy a plain white T-shirt from Walmart or something. Yeah. Get a Sharpie and just find the picture online of the shirt and then copy it, or just like blow up a picture and just trace it or something if you really need help.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like the passionate thing to do, right? Like, do the same thing that they do.
Just write like the WWE authentic wear patch on it.
Maybe.
I'll believe it.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't really want to ruin, even if I just buy it for that reason, I still would feel bad about ruining a white shirt.
When Raw comes to Toronto this summer, I want to see you in that T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
On camera, front row. Yeah. Hopefully we're making
just going
a little
nuts.
Money, getting that front row. Promote.
Just screaming my head off with my B team shirt on. Yes.
You'll be the only person cheering.
What do you? Oh, come on, you don't. They're gonna get over relatively soon. But anyway, they want a tag team battle royal and earn themselves a shot at Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, the leaders of World Is it the leader of worlds or the leaders of
it's
worlds?
deleters, because there's two of them. So the deleters of worlds. So yeah,
the leaders of the leaders of worlds. So anyway, yeah, that'll be the tag team title match at Money in the Bank. But I'm just gonna put this out there.
Is it Money in the Bank? Did I miss that?
I think so.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. I'll look it up as you continue your point. But
yeah, anyway, what I was gonna say is, say what you want about the reputation of both wrestlers, how over they are or aren't, their past success or failures or whatever, or how talented they are in the ring. But in my opinion, this has to be one of the greatest matches ever in terms of what's the word for it? Beauty. Like Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, broken Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. Does it get more beautiful than that?
I mean, it definitely does in multiple ways. So that title match isn't at Money in the Bank.
It's not?
At least it has been announced. Well, I don't think it could be because there's so many matches already.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
And they never advertised it for Money in the Bank, so I guess it'll be on Raw at some point, maybe after Money in the Bank, maybe next week. Who knows?
They didn't defend the tag titles at Backlash either, did they?
They didn't. I don't think so. No, they didn't. I try not to remember Backlash.
It's fair, but no, this would be two pay-per-views in a row with no Raw tag team titles.
Yeah,
that's kind of sad considering that like it's not just two schmoes holding the titles. Like it's still Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, right? This should be a big deal.
Yeah, I guess I think the star power in that is probably from Matt. You know, I don't think the company values Bray as much. Obviously, they haven't valued him as much as people thought. They should have valued him over all these years on the main roster. But in terms of like the star power from that tag team, it's got to be from Hardy for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think in this particular battle royal, in the match itself, the one intriguing sub storyline I say is that Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre were the first team out.
That was dumb.
So
it was really dumb.
I think it was dumb. It was cool, they came back in, they started, attacking everybody, doing whatever, just laying everybody out pretty much. And if you saw the post-match interview backstage and all that, Ziggler's just going on and on about this and that and all that kind of stuff. McIntyre wouldn't even speak. He was just silent, angry, just pissed off, and Ziggler was the one eliminated. So what I'm getting at is, maybe it's a little too early, but it could be the beginning of the end in this, this rumored split that they're going to have so that McIntyre can go on to, to better and bigger things.
Oh, man, but that would be way too early, right?
Exactly. No, I totally agree. I hope this might be like the first seed planted in that.
Yeah, but if they really do want to build them up to be like an elite tag team in the WWE right now, which is what I think they're trying to do, they can't be planting seeds for their eventual breakup like right at the beginning stages.
No, I totally agree. I just we don't know how far they want to go with this team because everybody was speculating that it was just going to be temporary. Sorry.
That'd be dumb, man.
So that McIntyre can get pushed as the big star singles wise. Yeah, I think he should, but I would love to see this guy's team go far as a team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they have something special on their hands here. I think these two could really make this work, but they have to allow it to work. So, I don't know, man. I just don't trust the WWE when it comes to tag teams, but I think McIntyre and Ziggler could be we've seen tag teams become a big deal to the point where they're almost treated like main eventers, even though they're a tag team. The New Day are a great example of that. Especially they're not even at their peak right now. I feel like they hit their peak a year and a half ago, and they're still one of the best parts of WWE, bar none. And speaking of bar none, the Bar for a while were one of the most entertaining parts of WWE week in and week out.
Oh yeah,
as a tag team, right?
Yeah, so, for sure.
I think they have something like that on their hands that they could potentially push, but they have to I don't know, commit to it.
Yeah,
but enough about them. No,
WWE. WWE. My last point on that. WWE. Yeah. They're always changing their minds. They're always changing the script day of and all that kind of stuff. So you
sure.
never know. They tend to get cold feet on a lot of things, and especially like Vince McMahon's very obvious he doesn't like tag teams. So I don't know, but what I think the reason that they were out first is so that they weren't out last, if that makes sense, because the finish of the match was very funny.
Yeah, I knew it was coming too. I think you're probably right. I just think there was probably a better way they could have done it. Whatever. I just hopefully this is something that gets forgotten about. I don't know.
Well, my thought was don't have them in the match at all if they're not going to win.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not that hard.
Well, right? Yeah, it isn't that hard, but WWE makes it difficult. So
exactly. Yeah. So go ahead. What's it called? What I was gonna say though, to talk about like the winners of that match, the B team. Do you think that they're actually? Let me put it to you this way: are they a placeholder contender for now, or are they gonna win the tag team titles?
It's difficult to say because I don't think the company cares so much about the Raw Tag Team division. I think that's pretty evident. So, I don't know. It's they're pretty over. I know people don't take them seriously. That's my own thing. Like, is it gonna be believable? Are they gonna be a believable championship team? I don't think the company cares. I think they might go ahead and do it.
It's one of those things though. Like, we shouldn't close the book on them too early, just because. I know they're kind of a comedic act right now, but like, we've seen teams start off as one thing and then become something amazing if they're able to run with it and really make that gimmick that might be stupid. If they're able to make it work, like, they make it work, right? But I personally believe that they're just a placeholder. They're probably going to get squashed by Matt and Bray at least once, maybe twice. And I still believe that it's going to be Ziggler and McIntyre that eventually take the titles off.
I was going to say, and I'm not just trying to save myself just to agree with you. I was going to say that I could see them winning. But knowing WWE and just knowing how they like to treat their talent of lower card guys, like, it can either be like they'd win in a shocking fashion or they're going to get squashed. Yeah. It's not going to be it won't be close. So right there, their momentum's halted. They're back, jobbing out to who knows who, or whatever. So, I think it might be Ziggler, McIntyre, or like I don't know what the Authors of Pain have been lately.
That's what I was going to say next.
They weren't in the Battle Royal. We haven't seen them in weeks. I think they might have had 1 or 2 matches on Raw in the.
Yeah, they just beat some random jobbers. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
so I really still think that that's what it's leaning towards. Either Ziggler and McIntyre or the Authors of Pain are going to be the ones that take it off Matt and Bray, because we've already talked about how Matt and Bray is a temporary thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Like, one thing I was thinking about earlier was that I think they might be making Raw's tag team division weak on purpose, and the reason for that is, obviously Raw is very star power driven. There really isn't any star power in that division, so they don't have to push it, and it allows for their their single stars, Roman, Seth Rollins, Braun, Bobby Roode, Elias, the list goes on. It allows them to have a bigger spotlight, and you kind of care about it more. And then also, it doesn't, I don't know if the company cares about this too much, but it doesn't let Raw dominate the pay-per-views, because now that they're all co-branded, you expect that both tag team titles are going to get defended. And in a normal world where, let's say, the Raw tag team division mattered, usually Raw is going to supersede SmackDown, as it just has happened in the past, and as it continues to happen. So I think that this kind of allows SmackDown to have that spot. But I think if Raw had a decent tag team division, they would just beat SmackDown out of the water anytime, any pay-per-view, even if the SmackDown match is 10 times better, which usually happens anyway. So I don't know. It's weird. It's just a theory that I thought could have been the reason as to why the division's so weak, and it's apparent because Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas are the number 1 contenders. So
it's a fair point. What you said makes a lot of sense, and I've always kind of believed that maybe they should have all the tag teams on one brand, like have one brand be the tag team. Like that, where all the tag teams are, so that. I don't know. I guess you have the best of the best fighting each other all the time, but I don't know. I don't know if they're completely giving up on the tag team division Raw, because they do have Ziggler, McIntyre, and the Authors of Pain kind of waiting in the wings right now that haven't really taken off yet. And there's a lot of potential in both those tag teams, especially the Authors of Pain. So it's interesting. I don't know. You might be right. It's hard to tell where the WWE kind of stands on that.
I was just speculating, just maybe something along those lines, or maybe they're just thinking, well, Raw is our main show, but Vince McMahon hates tag teams, so simple as that. Let's just make it pretty weak. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But speaking of different brands, over on SmackDown, there is I guess they're a stable, not a tag team, but the New Day. They're pretty good.
We just talked about them. They are very good.
They're on fire right now, man. Like, I know I said before their peak was probably a year and a half ago during that huge title reign they had, but like they're kind of getting close to that again. They're like the real. I mean, obviously they're the real deal, but they're like the best part of WWE television the last 2 weeks, I would say.
Like, it's crazy because you think about all those people that like, oh, the New Day, they should break up. They're so stale. They're just running out of jokes. Like, honestly, I think they get funnier each week.
Oh yeah,
each week that passes, and I love it. And like I said last week, like I like when there's a serious contender. These guys are serious contenders, but they're also just funny hilarious. As hell. They're so hilarious. Like that. The segment with Miz this week was so funny, where they put his hand in pancake batter, and
Big
then Miz is like,
face.
Oh my god, Big E might be the funniest wrestler I've ever seen in terms of in-ring
so
stuff,
funny.
Character. If you watch Up, Up, Down, Down, he's just kind of more himself. These guys are so funny, but then they also bring it in the ring. They're a great tag team, or great stable, and they've proved that for the past couple of years now. So they had the main event this week against Joe, Miz, Rusev. The match was good. Great way to close the show. It's funny. New Day, one of the top acts in WWE, as we just mentioned. They stand tall once again, just to end the show. I thought that was probably the best way to end SmackDown this week.
Well, like, and to your point when you said like people were kind of getting like saying that the New Day was getting stale, their jokes are getting less funny and stuff like that. There is usually a point in every stable where it's like, we'll probably be able to stay relevant, but we'll never be able to get back to where we once were, and we're just going to hurt our legacy the longer we stay together. So every stable's going to have to break up at some point. That's what happens to the Shield. The WWE did an amazing job of picking when to break them up because they were still maybe the hottest commodity in WWE when they broke up.
They were like, well, they just finished facing Evolution at a pay-per-view. I don't remember which one.
Back-to-back pay-per-views, yeah.
Yeah, and perfect execution.
Yeah, exactly. But clearly they've made the right call by not breaking up the New Day because
exactly
they're still the top. Like, to be completely honest, in my opinion, they've been the top act on SmackDown for the last month.
Oh, by far. Like I would normally say, AJ Styles. But that Nakamura feud's kind of like, I'm kind of getting disinterested now.
It's got. I still like it, but it's got to end.
It's running its course. It's running its course. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, New Day's great. Like the match was it was just great, and obviously like all the guys in the match are very fun to watch. They're all very talented. Like Kofi did the trust fall, the springboard, and everyone thought like, oh, he's gonna go in the ring, help Big E, who was fighting with Miz. No, he just fell back into Joe, who was outside the ring. Like, it was just so funny. He gets the height. He's just, like, selling it, like, hilarious. And just all the antics in the ring were good. Obviously, Miz, like, throwing the pancakes at Rusev and Joe, and I can't believe I have to say something like that, but it's true. That's what happened. And then, Rusev just kicked Miz's head off. Joe hit him with a senton, and they just both left Miz, fish out of water, just, like, scrambling, trying to pick himself up. Big E gets the pins Miz for the second straight week in 6-man tags. So, like, the storylines are really, like, they're just writing themselves at this point. It's a lot of fun to watch. And, the thing is, New Day, like, we still don't know who's going to represent them in the ladder match in a couple weeks. Yeah,
and they've done a really good job with that because that is one of the most interesting things in WWE right now is finding out who's it gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, it's every week. They have The Miz, who again is also one of the best acts in WWE right now, trying to get it out of them, and the New Day just using it to produce some hilarious stuff. And yeah, you have a genuine like a situation that is genuinely hard to predict, because at first it just seemed obvious that it was going to be Big E because of all the rumors about them sending him off on his own. But now the more time that passes, the more time you have to overanalyze things, and it's like, yeah, but Kofi would be awesome in the match because he's
or Woods, like all of them, man.
That's what I was gonna say, and then Woods is kind of like a mixture of the two. So it's tough. I'm still leaning towards Big E, but I don't know because it really seems like we're not going to find out until the very last second, which is the way they should do it.
For sure. I 100% agree with them waiting till the last moment. Like, right down to the entrance during the ladder match. Yeah. Right down to that. Like
I said, they all stand there at the edge of the ring. They all look at each other, and then one of them gets in. That's how
the whole crowd goes, whoo, whoo, like all that kind of stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
it's gonna be so. Like again, this is WWE. Obviously, WWE gets very predictable, especially if you watched it for. I'd say if you watched it for more than like a few years, you start to take notice of how everything's gonna play out. This is a good predictability. This is good predictability, if that makes sense. This is a good predictable situation where like they're gonna wait till the last moment. But that's what makes that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you can predict that. If that exact like what you and I just said, if that is the exact story or whatever you want to call it that happens, perfect, because it's the best thing that can happen. If they jump the gun, then it's kind of you lose the intrigue, I think.
No, for sure. Well, minimum they're waiting until the last SmackDown before the pay-per-view. So that's good.
Less is more,
Yeah. Well, also on SmackDown, we had AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura officially signing off on their hopefully final confrontation at Money in the Bank. And again, I don't say hopefully because I have loved the feud, but when the same two guys fight like 4 or 5 times at pay-per-views, like it's like okay, enough.
Well, okay. Well, from what sorry, I'll let you get on to in a second, but from what I saw with this whole feud, it's like WWE, it's them saying, yeah, we hear you, fans. We hear you. You want to see Nakamura and Styles. Okay, well, here's it 5 times.
Yeah.
It's like, true. I get it. Don't get me wrong. The matches, it's not like they're not delivering. They are. They're great.
Just bad endings, yeah.
It's just boring. Like the Usos and the New Day last year, every match was great. They had a show stealer at SummerSlam on the kickoff show last year.
Yeah.
Like, they're killing it. The Hell in a Cell. Like, it's all different. And obviously, like, Nakamura, Styles, they're having different matches. They're having a last man standing match if you didn't know. But, I don't know. I think this has really just run its course.
Yeah, I just hope they have a really good final match. I hope their last match is the best match of the series because I feel like our expectations were pretty high when they first announced that they were fighting at WrestleMania. And every match has been good, but they haven't had a great match yet. And I hope that's what we see at Money in the Bank. But we'll see. It'll be interesting. I just hope they end it here. And I you know how I feel about Shinsuke as a heel. I love his work over the last month or so as a heel. It's been great, and it was fittingly extremely weird and, in my opinion, entertaining on Tuesday with his whole shtick with the pens. Yeah, that was.
It was good. No, he worked it well. He was just being a dick.
Yeah, and then AJ's little smack on the nose.
So well. Yeah, AJ, beautiful slap. 10 out of 10 slap. Right across his face. Great camera angle. That great execution on that production. It was perfect, top notch. I don't say that about WWE a lot, but it was I liked it, and it just adds like to the thought or to the mindset that Nakamura's in Styles' head. Great. Yeah. Great. Yeah. That's attitude right there. That's what I want to see on a weekly basis. Not this, I don't know. There's a lot of stupid stuff in WWE, but I like that. Yeah. Styles is like, you can get behind him a lot more now, and I think the match at Money in the Bank is going to be good. Just no double, like if it's a double 10 count or something ridiculous like that, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, for real. They'll have somehow found a way to ruin a rivalry that everyone wanted to see. But let me ask you something, Mike. There is another feud on SmackDown. I'd like to know if you're behind it or not. Andrade Cien Almas made his debut just a few weeks ago on SmackDown, and it looks like his first kind of feud. It won't be a pay-per-view feud, but it'll be one of those like kind of mini SmackDown feuds. His first feud is going to be with Sin Cara.
I like
guess,
it. No, I
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, it's pretty apparent as to what it is. Sin Cara is not the most over talent. He's pretty low on the totem pole. So
Yeah.
this is just a way for Almas to get some momentum. Get a win against somebody who's been on the roster for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Sin Cara is getting screen time because you never get to see him. He's just kind of alluding to the fact that him and Almas used to, they used to work in Mexico together. They know each other for a long time, and it's working. Almas is just doing what he does. Heel work wise, Zelina Vega is great. They proved that in NXT with the NXT Championship run, and him even just building up to him becoming NXT champion. So
Yeah.
it's a very straightforward thing. I don't know if it ends next week. They're supposed to face off against one another next week, so I don't I don't know how far this goes, but I think it'd be a great match.
I think it's smart what they're doing because obviously when he came up, there just isn't a lot of there's just not a lot of room right now, screen time wise, and not even just on SmackDown, but like mainly where the hell are they gonna find room for him at a pay per view? You know what I mean? Like we just talked about how many matches there are at Money in the Bank. Right? They just had to extend all the pay per views to 4 hours. Right? Like it's still crowded. So it is probably a good idea when you bring up a new talent like Cien Almas to find a way to still get him screen time by having him have this little mini TV feud. And I think we're going to see a lot more TV feuds where it's just guys fighting every week, the same two guys fighting every week on Raw or SmackDown, because they're worthy of a pay-per-view spot, but there just isn't enough room. Kind of like what they did with Elias and Bobby Roode recently. And like you said, with Sin Cara, they're going to put on a good match because they're both really good in the ring, and it'll give Cien Almas a win. So...
Yeah, like I said, I think it's just going to be a good match. They're two great competitors, and this is just the beginning for Almas and his hopefully his rise on SmackDown. He's a great talent, and like I said, he proved that. Him and Zelina Vega, they proved that in NXT. So I hope he can become a big player over on SmackDown Live.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Just to catch everyone up on some news. Next SmackDown, we'll see the Women's Money in the Bank Summit. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I guess Paige is hosting it. I don't know what that means. I don't know. It's a thing. What's happening?
I guess Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Lana, Becky Lynch. I guess they're just all going to get in the ring and talk.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sick. Awesome.
How much do you want to bet there's going to be a fight?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably
how
a safe bet. Really, really interesting that Becky Lynch went over clean on Charlotte, by the way.
Great match on SmackDown. Yeah, really good match. If the 6-man tag didn't happen, I think that should have main evented the show, but it was a great thing to lead up to the main event. You're going to get a good match for those two, but yeah, Becky going over clean, like good for her. She gets some momentum going into the ladder match for herself, so...
Yeah, but so I just find it kind of interesting, though, in the long run, why are we having Charlotte lose clean on SmackDown? You know what I mean? Like, and Becky Lynch is awesome, and she deserves to have momentum going into Money in the Bank, and I have no problem with her getting a big win or even beating Charlotte in, like, a kind of screwy way, but, like, I don't know why they had to have Charlotte lose clean on SmackDown, because I don't know what their plans are for her, but either they don't have... I think this isn't going to be the year of Charlotte like I expected it to, which is fine, except it makes no sense that you had her beat Asuka's streak. Or it is going to be the year of Charlotte, but this makes no sense because why is she losing clean on SmackDown?
I think it's just like a one-off thing. When you have two stars in the ring, one has to lose, right?
No, it's fine. And you're
not
right.
Really, I guess. No, that's not. I mean, that's not technically true, but...
Yeah, there's ways around it, but...
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if you really want to build this as Charlotte's year, where she just goes on this incredible run, which is what it looked like. Like, she started the year... I mean, I count the wrestling year as WrestleMania to WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
And she started the year by beating Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. So if you're going to take down someone's momentum like that, like, if you're going to take away Asuka's streak... and like put that onto Charlotte, you got to carry it over. Like you got to keep it going. I have no problem with her dropping the strap via a cash in because that's not like really a loss. It's a screwy kind of thing. Like it's a good way to get the title off her without making her look bad. But like I feel like she's in the position where she shouldn't be losing on TV. She shouldn't really be losing in general until WrestleMania.
Can I tell you what I think's gonna happen?
What's that?
I just thought about this. So, as you know, like, and it happened this week. I'm just gonna mention, even though we're not really gonna talk about it, but Carl Anderson got an upset win against Harper. Gives him and Gallows some momentum for their tag team title match at Money in the Bank. That means they're gonna lose. Like, that's how WWE works, right?
Yeah.
What I think's gonna happen, I think Charlotte might have a very good chance of winning the ladder match for herself. And then, this is the summer, like, they're gonna just try different things with other people. We know the rumored match for next year's WrestleMania is her versus Ronda Rousey, and I guess a champion versus champion match or something like that. That's what the expectation is. What I think's gonna happen is I think Asuka's gonna beat Carmella at Money in the Bank. I think Charlotte's gonna win the Money in the Bank ladder match. If she doesn't, then this kind of derails my whole plan, but there are obviously other great choices for that. I think after a grueling match, Asuka has a title defense because she's just going to go and defeat everybody. What I think is going to happen is after like a big match that she has, maybe she gets beat down at the end or whatever, I think Charlotte's going to cash in on Asuka and turn heel. And that... Well, then, maybe that's later in this year, like November, December, whatever. And then that sets up a Charlotte heel title run heading into WrestleMania where she battles a face Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, see, I would be so down for that because Charlotte is my personal favorite. I think she's the best female wrestler on the roster, and that's not why I want her to go on this amazing run. I think it's just they've built to it, but... there's nothing better to me in the women's division than heel Charlotte. Like, she is such a good heel.
That's how you build your women's division. And then even in that, like, Becky's like, oh, well, I thought we were friends. How could you do this? They fight. There's a little feud there. She uses Lynch to go over. That's how you book the women's division. You don't do that. The stuff on Raw we didn't even talk about with Ronda Rousey. It's just terrible. I'm not a fan of it at all because it makes no sense. So this is how you book the women's division. That's what I'm telling you.
Hire me. Do it. Like, they should hire you because I'm 100% down for that. I think you made an awesome point.
You know what? And sorry to cut you off. Long-term booking. See, I'm not like booked week to week. I'm booked for the next 6 months. For the next year. When's WrestleMania next year? Next April? And this is what, June now?
Yeah.
10 months. 10 months of building. Right there.
No, that's
for free. Give me that one for free.
No, it's you make a really good point because you have Charlotte cashing in, turning heel, which is when she's gonna be great either way, but she's at her best as a heel in my opinion, and she's one of the best heels in the company. So having her turn heel is getting the best out of her. You have this awesome feud that you can build between her and Becky Lynch in the meantime before WrestleMania. Have them go back and forth, but Charlotte always comes out on top, and really close matches.
Throw Naomi in there.
Yeah, sure. But Becky and Charlotte would have like amazing matches. And then it leads all up to heel champion versus face champion. Charlotte, who was on top of the world last year at WrestleMania, tumbled down, and then her heel turn kind of, she turns bad to get her back on top, and then now she's even more unstoppable. And obviously Rousey would go over, but whatever. It would be a sick way to cap off next year's WrestleMania in the main event.
Absolutely.
Do it. Let's book it. Let's go.
Book it right now.
Get Vinnie Mac on the phone.
He's not taking my calls.
Anyway.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, more news for next week. We have some Fatal 4-Ways going on Raw.
Yes, we do.
All 4 participants in the men's Money in the Bank match will be facing off in a Fatal 4-Way. And the same will be happening for all the women's participants from Raw in the Money in the Bank matches. So that'll be a thing that happens. If that's what you're into, go watch that. You can see who carries the momentum into Money in the Bank.
Braun. Whoever wins those Fatal 4-Ways will not be winning the ladder matches.
Braun.
Boy, I can't see how Braun loses next week. But whatever, it would be a fun match. I don't know what main events to show. One should open, one should close. Pretty straightforward booking to me.
For sure.
Yeah, should be good matches. You have great participants. Not really much to go off of. I know, like they had the six woman tag this past week on Raw. Ember Moon, Sasha Banks, and originally Alexa Bliss, who then got injured during the match. And then Bayley came in randomly. So
that was so weird, dude. Like I was so lost. I don't even know how to describe the state of confusion.
She just came out, and it was just like, okay, sure.
That's not
nobody
how it works.
batted. Nobody batted an eye at her. So
well, the thing is, they played it off like Corbin was being a heel by saying, "Kurt, you have to tell her that it's reversed." But it's like, dude, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah,
you can't just come in at the end of a match, pin someone, and say, "I won."
It's not being biased. It's just being what's right or wrong. Like
yeah,
it's the right call. So like, it's not like
that was just awful booking.
That's a mess up from Kurt, in my opinion. So.
That's a mess up from whoever decided that was going to be the thing that's going to happen.
My point in all that was, I don't know if Bliss is cleared storyline wise to compete. I guess we'll find out.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't a legitimate injury. I don't think. Not that I've heard anything. So, maybe she'll just cower her way out of it. Whatever.
Yeah.
She's a good heel.
And then in other news, speaking of good heels, CM Punk. Christopher Matthew Punk.
Not true.
What do you mean not true? What do you?
Oh, that's not what it stands for.
Yes, that's his name. Stop it. That's his legal. No, it's not Phil Brooks. His legal name is Christopher Matthew Punk.
It's actually Phil Brooks.
Christopher Matthew Punk.
Do you remember when he said it on WWE television?
Colt Cabana.
Phil Brooks and Scott Colton.
Won their, I guess they were being sued by that doctor from the WWE.
Chris, Amen? There's two N's at the end.
Whatever.
Dr. Chris.
That guy.
Dr. Chris.
Sure, yeah, that guy.
I don't know.
Was suing Punk and Cabana for basically running his name through the mud on a 2014 podcast episode that I'm sure any wrestling fan has heard because
it's the not that I like to promote other podcasts, but it's Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast.
Yeah, but it's maybe the best podcast episode of any podcast I've ever heard that is the Figure 4 podcast.
So good.
Yeah, I mean it was earth-shattering how much Punk revealed and how much he revealed about his time in the WWE and why he left and all that. Like, Punk leaving the WWE, walking out on them after the Royal Rumble is one of the biggest stories in wrestling history, in my opinion. Definitely the biggest story of the modern era, and it was really cool to hear him kind of speak some truth on that and kind of let us take a peek behind the scenes and see what's going on in WWE.
Dude, I got heated listening to that. I was angry on his behalf.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
and it's great. Like, they've cleared that up. They haven't been found.
That's
I don't think they weren't found guilty. I don't think that was the charge, but they don't have to pay anything because they weren't found responsible for anything. So,
yeah, exactly. So this is kind of like the resolution to that whole situation, which is good because now all parties involved can kind of move forward. Apparently, Punk was like crying after.
Oh yeah, and like AJ Lee, who's his wife. Her and Cabana were hugging and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Obviously, her and Punk were hugging and all that. Like, it's just great. Awesome. Punk, like, he left WWE. He just wants to keep it in the past. They left on really bad terms. I doubt we ever see him again in WWE. He's got a big UFC fight this Saturday as well. So, he just gets to put WWE behind him. It's his former life. He's moved on. And, he's, like we said, he's an MMA fighter. He's competing this weekend. And on a UFC fight night. Oh no, I think it's an official pay-per-view. My mistake. Yeah. There you go. So he's got a match or a fight this weekend.
It's a good card, actually.
Well, if you want to talk about the UFC, you do it on your own time, okay? Anyway,
it's the voice. Remember, I told you it's the voice of the voiceless versus the king of pop. He's fighting Mike Jackson.
Okay. Well, anyway, no. So like I was saying with Punk, like he just gets to forget about the WWE, and he's finally moving on. And Cabana got pulled into this. It wasn't his fault. It's not Punk's fault either. No. It's just they happened to be on Cabana's podcast, and he would say things here and there that I guess kind of got him involved in this a little bit more. So yeah, and I mean, people were asking. Because now WWE is out. He's done with that. Obviously, he's still competing in MMA. I think we might see Punk back in wrestling at some point. Maybe this year. Maybe at All In. Who knows? It's in Chicago. He's good friends
That's
with the
what
Young Bucks.
Yeah, because he's gonna be there, right? Like for sure, he's gonna be there.
Well, okay. So Pro Wrestling Tees, their store, which is based in, I believe it's in Chicago. If not, it's in Illinois. He is going to be there signing autographs.
Yeah.
I believe the day before the show. So that's people are speculating he's gonna be showing up. He said he wasn't all in. He was interviewed yesterday right after the trial ended. So he said he's not all in, but people like to not reveal everything. So I would love to see Punk back in wrestling, but do what's best for him.
It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like if he loses this Saturday, he's definitely never gonna fight in the UFC again. Because they can't justify keeping a guy on who's lost his only 2 MMA fights, and especially this one would be to someone who is also 0-1 in their career. So he'll never fight in the UFC again if he loses on Saturday. And I don't think I could picture him going out there and fighting for significantly less money on some next level kind of indie scene MMA fight. So I think he's done with I personally think he's probably done with MMA if he loses Saturday. And if that's the case, I mean, I would give it like 6 months before he comes back to wrestling, max.
Well,
what I mean? Not WWE, but
despite whatever happens, I think that the wrestling community, unless you're a Mike Jackson fan, I think you should be rooting for Punk.
Yeah, no, of course,
because he's one of us,
Yeah.
And
no, I want him to win. I'm just saying that if he does lose, he's probably back to wrestling.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to counter your point.
Why are you accusing me of like hating Punk? What the hell, dude?
I'm not. If you're listening to what I just said, I'm not. But yeah, I would love to. People speculate. The speculation, well, it's for some, myself included. I think Punk might show up during the main event or after the main event of All In. Whether I don't know who's going to be competing in that on the main event. Might be Cody. Might be Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Punk and Kenny Omega. Don't get me started. I think it'll be fantastic. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I wish the best for Punk. I'm really happy for him and Colt Cabana, who they can put all this behind him. Punk can focus on his fight this weekend, and Cabana can continue with his independent career, and everyone can just go their separate ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just WWE, you messed up. You messed up big time.
Bad, yeah.
You left. He's the best in the world, and you just let him go for nothing because you didn't like him.
Yeah, in all seriousness, he is probably like my favorite wrestler, definitely of his era, and like I think he could have been if they pushed him properly. I mean, not that he never got pushed, but like if they used him the way they should have. And they kind of gave him what he wanted. I really think he could have gone down as one of the great wrestlers of all time. He probably still is, right? But it's sad. It's really sad.
It really is. And,
it would be a dream to see him in WWE again. It'll probably never happen. He's the one guy that I trust to stay true to his word and never return. I hope he doesn't stay true to his word, but like. I feel like he's the kind of guy who's stubborn enough that he will never come back.
As big of a fan of him as I am, and as much as I would love to see him back in WWE, yes, I really do hope he stays true to his word, just to stick with WWE. Just show let's look at all these people that, and you remember like when he left, and just years time after he left, people were bashing him for, he just walked out of the company, he took his ball and went home, like.
Oh, screw
that. If you don't like your job, I don't care if you're a sports entertainer. If you don't like your job, you can quit. You know what I mean? You can walk out. Stone Cold did, and everyone loves Stone Cold. I'm not saying don't love him, but you know what I mean? Like it happens. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like Punk walked out because he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
You probably did that at 7-Eleven or something. So just relax and stop criticizing him. So anyway.
For sure. No,
I was just gonna say, and like I've said it, I just said it again. Like, I wish him all the best. I wish everybody in that situation, aside from WWE, the best. And just this is in the past now. So just continue with your lives and don't have to deal with it. I hope we don't see Punk back in WWE because he doesn't need to come back. He shouldn't have to come back.
No, yeah, but I would love to see it. I'm not.
But he needs to come back as the guy.
Of course.
But it's
course.
never going to happen, so we shouldn't even talk about it.
Never say never. Anyway. This episode has gone on far too long, and it could have gone on longer because you know what? We had a lot to talk about this week. There's a lot of
Busy
stuff we
week.
didn't talk about. We could have talked about the whole Nia, Ronda, Natalia thing for like a half hour. I feel like, and we didn't even touch on that.
We could probably have a second hour.
Yeah. Oh,
but we're not
100%.
going to do that.
No, we're not. No, and I mean, we could have kept talking about Punk for another hour. We could have, Mike. I could talk about wrestling with you all day, but
Leo
unfortunately,
Rush is joining 205 Live.
there you go. Like a lot of stuff happening.
We're ready.
Unfortunately, we don't have that time, and neither do you. So we're gonna sign off. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Please share this with your friends. Tell them how awesome we are. Tell them about wrestling podcasting at its finest. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, listen to us because we're great.
Because us.
Yeah, because us. Exactly. That's. I feel like that's a great way to end it.
I just want to mention next week's episode we'll just be talking about Money in the Bank and giving our predictions for the show.
Yeah, of course.
Because it is the go home editions of Raw and SmackDown Live, and then Money in the Bank is on the 17th.
Yes,
of
17th
of June. So Father's Day. There you go. So that's going to be coming next week.
Yep. So we'll be previewing Money in the Bank. But until then, this has been the Figure 4 podcast.